Yeah.
There it is. We are here. We are ready to go. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, members of the Constant Approach Tribe? JV Wins, Dogon SS. Appreciate y'all for tuning in once again as we are enjoying another week here on this beautiful earth of ours.
Yeah.
Uh, Today is June the 20th. Thank you to everybody who has been joining the community. We certainly appreciate you supporting this logical content. Before we get things kicked off, I will always start every stream by saying, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, man. Let us know what you think about the content, the commentary in these videos, or what we got going on this channel. We certainly appreciate the participation. The numbers are growing slowly but steadily as we occupy this little corner of the YouTube internet. So yeah, man, we appreciate everybody who's been tuning in. It's been great interactions, great receptions, great all of that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you're just now catching wind of what we do over here on Conscious Approach, man, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because this is the flavor that you can expect to get each and every week, each and every video upload as we continue to up the ante, diversify the content, continue to strive for improvement. We try to not remain stagnant, but we genuinely do enjoy these frank conversations and this good dialogue on this channel. And to everybody who hits us up in the comments, appreciate that as well, man. I really live for that stuff. We live for that stuff, man. We respond, we check that stuff out, man. So thank you to everybody who has joined us, and thank you to everybody preemptively who will join us in the future. Now, having said that, we're going to go ahead and get things kicked off, and we are going to start things off talking about Iggy Azalea, some interesting comments that she made. I think what she is trying to do is combat what she perceives to be bigotry or hate in the world, however you want to characterize it. But basically, she is publicly going on record saying that in an effort to combat what she believes is, all of the phobias, homophobia, all of that good stuff. Gender,
Arachnophobia.
right? Claustrophobia, yeah. All of the phobias, all of that. The way that she is going to sort of speak out against that is she is going to take her child to drag shows, I guess, in an effort to make the world a better place and expose her son to different ways of life and all of that kind of stuff. She is saying publicly, I don't see you haters. I will take my child to drag shows.
Yeah.
So interesting. We talk often about the changing of the guard in terms of American socialization or westernized socialization, and I think this is a great example of that. So to provide some context for anyone who is unaware of Iggy's comments, let's see here. This, of course, is an article from the content factory known as Hot New Hip Hop. It says Iggy Azalea shares plans to bring Playboy Cardi. Playboy Cardi is her baby's father. He's also another rapper, for whatever that's worth. But Iggy Azalea shares plans to bring Playboy Cardi's son Onyx to drag shows in response to Twitter homophobes. Iggy Azalea may be laying low on Instagram right now, but the past few days have seen her speaking her mind over on Twitter in full force. The Australian artist has been taking a break from flaunting her figure to instead debate with some Twitter trolls about the dangers of drag queens. It all began when Azalea announced she would be taking a break from Elon Musk's app due to the incessant negativity, homophobia, and criticism she's been seeing. Quote, nah, Iggy, you wrong. One person responded to the work rappers rant on Tuesday, June the 13th. People really aren't homophobic. We are in 2023. It started becoming an issue when they started trying to indoctrinate kids. You have a son of your own. Would you be okay with his school having drag shows or books teaching him to give BJs? They asked Azalea. Minutes later, she responded, making it clear she would be more than happy to bring her and Playboy Cardi's 3-year-old son Onyx along with her to watch drag artists perform. And you can see the tweet there from Azalea. It says, yes, I would love to take my son to a drag show and will. He already knows He already knows tons, and yes, I would love for my son to read about blowjobs, birth control, and sex education in general as soon as he hits puberty. P.S. You're a loser and you're stupid as fuck. So that is what she had to say in response to that. So Iggy
What?
Azalea is kind of going full force in terms of combating hatred, and she is using her child as a tool, a vessel with which to make that point loud and clear. So um, this situation reminds me of something that happened in the past that I will speak on. But first, I'll let you go ahead and kick this off. What do you think about Iggy Azalea's comments on the Twitter sphere that she is more than happy to take her son to drag shows, and furthermore, that she wants him to read all about blowjobs as soon as he hits puberty? And keep in mind that puberty can be 8 or 9 years old. It depends on the individual. But there you go. What do you think about what she had to say?
Uh, this is It sounds like it came from her. I'll say that. So I'm not surprised that she said it. Um, Especially in today's day and age, where the trendy thing used to be in Hollywood and in the industry is to adopt little African kids, and that was like the thing. Now it's have a son and put him in a dress is the play. So it shows how uh, progressive she is, right? So I think how brave she is to take her child around um, uh, strippers. But we're dealing with an entertainer here. This woman is out of her mind. Onyx is a hard name, though. I like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I like that name. But she's an entertainer. Um, in order to be an entertainer and in order to be available, first of all, there's gatekeeping. Let's get to that. So in order for her to be in the position that she's in, she already had to have a certain type of personality set. But in order to keep a career going and sustainable, you got to keep doing whatever you did to get in. Plus, you have to be a liberal person. You can't have any conservative views, and I use conservative for lack of better words.
Right,
And
right.
she so she's like on the cutting edge of whatever any industry or Hollywood person would ever sound like. And so I'm not surprised by this. Eventually the kid's gonna be in a dress, but Playboy Cardi will wear a dress. So
Hmm.
it's not far fetched from that family. But the whole notion of her normalizing bringing your 3-year-old child around strippers, and then telling them that when they hit puberty, I'll explain sex to them. Which is the dumbest shit. That's like, well, it sounds like, yeah, that response, that little part right there was explains why you would take your child to a drag show. So I've got more to say on this, but how about you, bro? I feel like this is just new age, run of the mill, how they're trying to condition people to feel and think in the future about their children. How do you feel about this one, bro?
Yeah, she spent so much time in the entertainment industry that it's ironic because the commenter who challenged her on all of this stuff
Mm-hmm.
asked her how would she feel about her kid learning about this stuff, and the commenter mentioned kids being indoctrinated.
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting thing about it is Iggy Azalea herself, along with a lot of these other entertainers themselves, are indoctrinated.
Right.
So it's not a stretch, as you implied, for an indoctrinated person to then raise an indoctrinated person.
Right.
These things tend to be transferable across generations. This reminds me of when Bootsy, so back when it became public that Dwayne Wade's son was going to change their gender, um, and there was a back and forth dialogue, and people were discussing the merit of this and you know, why Dwayne Wade and, by proxy also Gabrielle Union would be okay with this and all of that kind of stuff. And, it brought up the merits of what is a parent supposed to do in those types of situations. How could a child possibly have, conflicting gender identities at such a young age? And Boosie chimed in at one point, and Boosie was like, I'm disappointed in Dwayne Wade because if your child is going to do these things, then let the child develop those, proclivities on their own. But and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, "Don't cut his dick off." That was what Boosie said. JV Wins didn't say that. Boosie said that. So I guess I should have said, and I quote. But Boosie said, "quote Don't cut his dick off." Basically saying because Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union were doing the same thing, in order to ride the wave of liberalism, which is, we've talked on this channel about how in the West, liberalism has been co-opted with the good guys. And, like you, I don't like to use the word conservative because it has political connotations. So instead, I like to use the word traditionalism. Traditionalism has less of a politically charged implication. And people who lean on the side of traditionalism, traditionalism has in effect been co-opted with the bad guys. If you think along the lines of a traditionalist, old school, man, woman, penis, vagina, then you're stuck in the old age. You're one of the bad guys. You need to be progressive and not being a bigot. Essentially, is the way that this whole thing has been framed, basically in the mainstream media. And so Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade, wanting to ride the wave and be on the right side of history, jumped full force with this issue with Dwayne Wade's son, and had him in drag shows. And his son was they were going to the pride festivals and he was in drag shows. The son himself was dressing in drag, and Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade were wearing their rainbow colors with their son at the drag shows and whatnot. And Boosie was saying, okay, he's 12 years old at the time. I think he was 12 or 13. And Boosie was just like, why are you cutting him off? Like, it seemed to be more of a natural thing for him to develop these sensibilities as he gets older and just learns more about who he is as a person, as a human. And it's kind of unreasonable to assume that he's going to have all these things figured out at 13 years old. And that's when your parenting is supposed to come in and guide this whole thing. And I feel like Boosie would have similar words for Iggy Azalea. But Iggy Azalea and Dwayne Wade, at least on the surface, are cut from a different cloth, even though one can surmise perhaps that they aren't all that far apart. Yeah, when you're this heavily, ingrained in the Hollywood ecosystem, the entertainment sphere, the entertainment industry, and the space, that industry, that particular sector of westernized culture is deeply entrenched in liberalism being on the right side of history. And so we have gone so far as to suggest that taking your child to drag shows is a part of what constitutes being on the right side of that history and engaging in that liberalism. Like, I'm in my late 30s. I'm not super duper old. I'm also not a Gen Zer. Okay. But I have reasonable sensibilities when it comes to this stuff. And, my parents didn't necessarily put me in situations where I was being socialized to view one thing as particularly normal more so than the other. And I think that what happens when you decide that you are going to take your 3-year-old child to a drag show is that they are going to, in effect, become conditioned socially to look at these things as typical reality, thereby increasing the likelihood of them embracing said lifestyle. Now, if you think that that's great and cool and positive, then cool, that's on you. All I would say is to those who don't want to do that with their own kids, they shouldn't be chastised for that decision. So it takes me back to the central point that I always make with these types of conversations. Let people rear their children however they choose. If someone thinks opposite of Iggy Azalea and doesn't want to have their 3-year-old son going to pride parades, they shouldn't be brandished as an intolerant person for that. But I guess we have to have it as an extreme. If Iggy Azalea is a hero, as you alluded to, because she's going to be taking her kid to pride parades, then I guess someone who wants to be a traditionalist must therefore inherently be the bad guy.
Yeah, bigot.
Um, yeah, they're a bigot, and it sucks. But that is how Hollywood works. It really is. That's how Gina Carano, and I keep bringing up this, I can't bring up this stuff enough because I'm seeing it happen. Gina Carano got fired off of The Mandalorian and Disney Plus because she said, I'm a conservative and I feel like I'm persecuted for my views. And people got mad at her because she likened it to being a person persecuted during the Holocaust. So because people couldn't help but fixate on the analogy as opposed to paying attention to the point that she was trying to make, which is a valid one, she got fired for that. Now, if you switch it around and Gina Carano says, I can't wait to take my son to Pride parades, she'll get hired for 5 or 6 more shows.
Yep.
They'll have her doing press junkets, all kind of stuff, CNN. Yep. She'll be all over the place.
Yep.
And she'll be brave and sparking necessary conversation in America. And it's like we're creating this dynamic of diametrically opposed viewpoints that at the very most are disagreeable, but one is not right and one is not wrong. Now, if you want to run around saying that you want to hurt people because they choose to change genders, or you want to assault people, or you want to do harm to people or things of that nature, then we're talking about things that are actually reprehensible and we need to address that stuff. But differences of opinion are a whole nother ball game. And furthermore, this idea that you're going to purposefully socialize your child at that young age by taking them to pride festivals and, like you said, bring them around strippers is ridiculous. But she's indoctrinated. And so it's not a far stretch for an indoctrinated person to, reproduce and then go along with raising another indoctrinated person. And yeah, the kid's father, Playboy Cardi, he's one of these new aged, highly sensitive emo rappers who himself will do the Young Thug thing and put on a dress on his album covers or paint his fingernails. All of these other things that these guys are doing nowadays. Black fingernails, black toenails, all kind of weird stuff. And so, under normal circumstances, I would do what I said with Dwayne Wade, which is I hope his father has a say. I hope his father has a say. But knowing who this kid's father is, sad to say, I have to say that this kid probably already doesn't stand a chance. But that's what you get when you have Hollyweird. So there you go.
Well, and first of all, well said. And second of all, this whole dynamic, again, like I was alluded to, with her being on the liberal side of things, this is like not like you're messing up a bag if you don't talk like this. So that there's a bag in this in talking like this. Ask Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
Dude got talk show, man, game shows, on own or GM or something with the Utah Jazz. It's gonna be something else going on with him, later on, because he played that card. He's playing his child for a check, and that's disgusting to me. I saw that Shannon Sharp thing he was doing. By the way, he's a much better speaker now. But listening to him talk, basketball, I was all good. But then when he started getting into the child thing, I was like, nah, bro, this is not it.
Yeah.
That was disgusting. And so, but yeah, this is what you do. You don't sacrifice your child to bail anymore. You sacrifice them to social media. And that's what she's doing. And this kid, her kid is going to be used as a pawn for more clout and for more opportunities. So, that's the game to play. And so she's playing it. And so again, when we were dealing with these people that they push in front of us, because honestly, guys, where's her talent? There's no talent there. And so why do we even know her name? And this is a whole industry plant of a person, and because the reason being is like she's propped up so much. Like, who's financing this? But now she's got her own low whatever, but she's already known. But that initial buzz and that initial hurricane of of her was all industry stuff. Same thing like 6ix9ine, same thing like
Mhm.
every other person that they just throw in your face and they just can't stay out of your feed. Like, who's sponsoring this? The machine is. And they want your child to grow up just like this person. And so whoever follows this woman, you know, and was sitting there retweeting that and going, yes, yeah, yes, sister, let them know I'm taking my kids to a drag show next month. You know, and this is my thing. These are grown ass men. Come on now. These are grown ass men wearing women's lingerie around children, talking to them sometimes about sexual education or reading them books about two dads. What sense does that make? And for the people that think that's progressive, now mind you, in order to be progressive, you gotta kind of move forward, like add things up, you know, intercourse, and so that's progressive. You know, male genitalia, female genitalia, baby, that's progress. And so to to force this two dad, two mom thing, hey, look, guys, this Hollywood stuff, these guys, they're not interested in making money. I hope you guys are aware of this at this point. Everybody, oh, money, money, money. They don't care about money. And the Bud Light boycott is not a boycott on Budweiser. It's just Bud Light. The Target thing and all this other stuff. Hey, kudos.
Mhm.
But everybody's doing it. Every corporation's doing it. These people are running tests on everybody. These are social experiments going rampant. And don't tell me that this information is not getting collected and used in another way to make sure that the next form of mind control goes a little bit smoother. But I'm telling you guys right now, these people are not interested in making any money. That's why they're giving you movies with messages that you don't want to watch, you don't want to see, giving you artists you don't want to hear. It's not about money. If it was really about talent, good scripts, good everything, good music, then we would be hearing it
Mhm.
and we would be seeing it. So we know it, Iggy, whatever, and we know of her because of corporate interests trying to um, keep us in this same loop of destruction that which we're. And by the way, it's not even a loop. It's like they're adding new stuff to it every time. So this new wave now is to push the D Wade agenda. Everybody be brave. You know,
Mhm.
be brave
Yeah.
and tell your boy to wear a dress. Boy, I swear. But yeah,
Right. That's
man.
and who's gonna argue against being brave? That's the trick. The tricky thing is the platitudes that come along with it. Like, it's one thing to say that you can do it or that you should do it because they're flat out saying you should do it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But in addition to it, they're also connecting it with the notion that doing it makes you a better human. Being brave, bold, courageous, all of these different adjectives used to describe why you should do these things. So no one who doesn't have the ability to think for themselves is going to hear this and say, well, I don't care about being brave. Of course they want to be brave. So go ahead and follow suit because I need to be brave and on the right side of history. At the end of the day, it's all public facing. It's the ability, it's the opportunity to retain the ability to look like, when it's all said and done, you were on the right side of this thing. And so that's what people care about, is just making sure that they're on the right side of this thing.
I mean, and whatever, man. You know what I'm saying? Like that's so whack. But that's what they're yeah, they're making sure that everybody does that. I mean, everywhere I go, at least here in Austin, Texas, everywhere I go, man, there's a lot of progressive people here. And so yeah, man, that's just the way of the world, man. That and it's becoming normalized. And and I was going on that little rant about them not making money. Man, you gotta see these little things, bro. Like I be seeing little things, Transformers. Now, by the way, it kind of, Transformers, there's male Transformers and there's female Transformers. Well, now they have a non-binary Transformer.
What a
And they're put
surprise.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
in a cartoon for children. And
Yeah.
that was like a whole rabbit hole I went down. And they got other stuff like this is literally, they're not talking about ABC no more. They're not talking about colors. Man, we was learning that was our programming, colors. And if they did want to put something sexual in there, it was subliminal. Now they're just coming straight up at you. And now the kids are having, my pronoun is they them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and the mom goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know." Yeah. And then the kid gets a pat on the back for being brave. Now, now we were talking about that being brave thing as for adults. Now, Matt, and as a child, you might be going through something or whatever, and now you want that attention of acceptance. And
Mm-hmm.
I know I'll get accepted if I change up my pronoun game. And it's like, no, nope, but that's what they're going to do. And so this is not about making money, entertaining your kids, or teaching them. So you got to be mindful, of what you're allowing your children to watch nowadays. I don't care how bright the colors are and how pleasant the music sounds. You got to see what the message is in there, and because it's happening on all levels. So yeah, this Iggy situation, not surprised that it's coming from her, but she speaks the language of the industry, and it's not like she's gonna have whatever, but she's gonna be relevant so long as she keep moving like this. Same thing about D Wade and everybody else that played this little game. You know.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. It's just she's all like it's like I said, she's an indoctrinated person.
Yep.
And so as an indoctrinated person, you're just going to raise your children within an indoctrinated context.
Yep.
She knows no better. She's been in that ecosystem for far too long to have the ability to think for themselves. Very few of these people think for themselves. And you should never want to use your child as a bargaining chip
Ugh.
to make your point about how you feel about any of these phobias or any of these isms. Like your child should never be thrown into the mix as a bargaining chip for you to be able to make your point. Like do it yourself. If you about that life, then you yourself go out and drag and dress and drag. Don't take your kid or make your kid do it when your kid has no conception whatsoever for what sexuality, gender, or sex is. He's 3. What does he know? And that's where the purposeful socialization comes in, and that's the part of it that makes me uncomfortable. Leave the kid out of it. If you about that life, then you put your drag on and you go to Pride. People don't understand how you feel about it. The world doesn't need your child to tell them how you feel about these things. Do it yourself. Now, granted, the Twitter user brought up her kid and she was addressing the question in turn because the commenter said, "Would you allow this to happen to your kid?" To which she said yes. But it just shows you her level of indoctrination, because if she was a little more, I think, um, of the ability to think for herself, she would have worded that a little differently. And she wouldn't have been so, she wouldn't have been so forthright in her stance that hell yeah, I'm taking my kid to pride shows and teaching him about blowjobs when he hits puberty. Like the way that she worded that was so stern that it was obvious that she wasn't even aware of the fact that in effect you're using your child as a pawn in a game to make yourself look a certain type of way with respect to these various issues. And I think traditional minded people find that to be just a little uncomfortable and quite frankly repulsive. But this is consistent with who she is because she don't think for herself. She
No.
doesn't. And she's doing this. She's got all kinds of weirdo handlers, publicists, people who are on her quote unquote team, making her life decisions for her, telling her where to be, what to support, what to endorse. She doesn't make any of these decisions on her own. And if she does, I'd be pleasantly surprised if I was proven wrong, but I don't think she does. She doesn't even know what she believes with any of these things. She just knows what's been impressed upon her and what she's been told to believe. She's never formulated any of these thoughts for herself. And the danger inherent in that is now you have a whole nother human to whom you're responsible for, and you're just repeating the cycle. But to your point, that's what the machine relies upon, because the more of this there's going on, the more prevalent of it is, then the more likely it is than not, statistically speaking, that there are going to be more people who glean this as, for lack of a better term, normal behavior. And then they'll just repeat it, and then they raise their kids and they do the same thing that she's doing, and so on and so forth. So it is what it is, but just you shouldn't use your kid as a pawn in these situations. I ain't trying to tell her how to raise her kid because that's her prerogative. She wants to do this stuff. I'm with Boosie on stuff like this. Don't cut your son's identity off before he
Right.
even had a chance to form it for himself.
Right.
That's the side of this that I'm on. But if you want to go full bore with foolishness, not like this, he's 3. Do make your voice heard when it comes to stuff like this on your own. Don't make your kid a bargaining chip.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
Yep. 100. I agree.
Yeah. Oh man, Hollyweird. It's a hell of a place.
Huh.
Really is. You know. But appreciate the content nevertheless, Iggy. I still say that one song that she had with T.I., what is it called? No Mediocre. There's no way she wrote that verse.
She just, of course not.
There's no T.I. wrote that verse. There's no way she wrote that verse. I don't
Oh
care.
my goodness. Hey, by the way, we went through that whole segment without talking about none of her. Like, I said she had no
Music.
talent, but I could have really dragged her. No pun intended.
That was a good one. Good one. Very good. Very good.
Bars.
Oh man. Shouts out. God damn. All right, next up, we're going to talk about friend of the channel, John Morant. So apparently, John Morant believes that the NBA is out to get him. He thinks that he's a marked man. He thinks the media and the NBA is out for blood on him on purpose. They think that there's agenda against him. So interesting talk. We've mentioned John Morant on this channel a few times with his trials and tribulations. I don't necessarily think that we've been particularly unreasonable with our John Morant takes. We're just saying, hey, man, you want to get to a bag and, continue the upward trajectory of your career, just make better choices. And I think that that's what most reasonable people are saying. You got some of these gas bags in the media and on the internet trying to make it seem as though John Morant is being held responsible for the world's problems. I don't think any reasonable person is doing that. I think most reasonable people are saying, "Hey, bro, just make better choices and grow up a little bit."
Right.
And this story is in the public eye, so people are going to talk about it publicly, and it is what it is. Anybody who's uncomfortable with that can go crawl under a rock and just not live, I guess. But this article here says John Morant allegedly feels like the NBA is out to get him. John Morant has had a whirlwind past few months in the NBA, of course. A lot of this started when he flashed a gun while in a strip club in Denver. Subsequently, he was suspended by the NBA for about 8 games. From there, he apologized and claimed that he would be better. However, he flashed a gun again on Instagram Live, which then led to a 25-game suspension. Now, Morant will not be eligible for any awards next season, which cost him tens of millions of dollars. And the actual number amount is about 80 million for anyone who does not know. That 25-game suspension that he will serve next season will make him ineligible for all NBA and various other awards, NBA MVP, all of that kind of stuff. And there's money, there's bags that come along with that stuff. And so to the tune of about 80 million is what that could potentially cost him as a result. So for all y'all social anarchists out there who think people should be able to do whatever the hell they want, ask yourself whether losing $80 million is worth that. But I'll digress. Continuing on with the article. Of course, fans are divided on this suspension. Although some believe it is a good length, others seem to think that this is just way too much. Either way, it is going to put the Memphis Grizzlies in a considerable hole next season. It is going to take them a while to get back into the swing of things. Additionally, who knows how good Morant will be after so many months off. It could be a truly rough season, and now reports are circulating that he and his current former associates are upset. And so here is an embed from a Twitter post from NBA Central. It says, Ja Morant's camp reportedly feels like the NBA and the media are out to get them. Quote, I've heard indirectly that Ja and people close to Ja, perhaps people formerly close to Ja, have this feeling that the NBA out to get them, that the media is out to get them. According to Tim McMahon of ESPN, there is this sense, and Ja and those around him believe the NBA and the media have an agenda going on.
Oh.
And so there you go. Whether it be Ja himself or the Grizzlies organization, everyone loses. Ja Morant and his greatness are of great benefit to both the league and its media partners. Given this reality, it's hard to imagine there being a coordinated attack against him. Let us know your thoughts on this report, blah, 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 blah. So there you go. This generation's Allen Iverson, as many people have called him, believes that he's now a target, part of an NBA agenda. Do you think Ja Morant's belief in this regard is legit, or do you think he's blowing a little smoke there?
I think it's yeah and no. They're definitely going to try to make an example out of him. At least the NBA, on what behaviors they don't want. So that's that angle. And then when it comes to the media, they need stories, and Ja Morant name runs. He gets his name in headlines. They're going to drag the name out. So they're going to keep this thing going. So long as it's his name is popular. So his history is going to be brought up for the rest of his life now. And he can turn, do a complete 180, and you're still going to hear about this chapter of his life. And so, yeah, it sucks that all those things are going on. But when you're the individual where you're every day you wake up, your name's in a headline, and the headline reads nothing true about you, it's going to mess with your head eventually. And everybody in your circle seeing these headlines that are inflammatory. Then of course, yeah, the people in the camp are going to feel like, hey man, they be lying on us. Y'all got something else going. What y'all got going? Y'all want to see a black man win? A young black man win? I mean, come on. It was just a lighter. Come on. It was just a toy. It was a prop. Allegedly. So when you got all of these things swirling around in their camp, so yeah, they're going to feel that way too. So it's the truth to it, but there's multiple angles that you can look at it. Either way, I think every way is playing out as it should. And because Ja moved the way that he did, it moved the current one direction and moved the current in another direction. As he's reading the current, he can't go, hey, bro, you just caused that entire ripple effect.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't be mad at the media for doing what the media does.
Yeah.
And they want a story, bro. And you give them hella juice. But how do you feel about this, bro? Do you feel like there's truth to this or not?
So if he thinks that, and I'm going to go off of the assumption that this is coming from him,
Mm-hmm.
right? So right off the bat, let me just clarify. My take on this is built on the assumption that he truly believes that there's an agenda against him.
Mm-hmm.
So because I'm assuming that he truly does believe that there's an agenda against him, what I would say to that end is, if he believes that because the media is talking about this, then he has no case. But if he believes this because things are being said about him in a capacity that is untrue, or that ventures into a territory of a smear campaign of some sort where his name is being disparaged, then he would have a point. Now, in my opinion, as I've said, based on what I've seen, and I am no apologist of the media,
No,
especially the mainstream media. I
Lord, no.
think my track record on that is very clear.
Hmm.
I am not someone who capes for the mainstream media. However, everything that I've seen with respect to John Morant in the media is, bro, just make better decisions. That's all. That is mostly what I've seen. The only thing that anything that I have seen that extends beyond that, where now we're trying to disparage his character or suggest that he is causing, because a
Or
few
or
weeks ago,
or that he's gonna be dead in like 5 years.
right, right, stuff like that, or like a few weeks ago they were on First Take talking about this, and JJ Redick was going off because
Mm.
he felt like America was making John Morant out to be this spokesperson for all the societal issues in America. And he brought up things like gun control and gun violence and all of this kind of stuff. And it's like, bro, look, now you're becoming a media gas bag, because no one in the media who is credible is blaming John Morant for society's problems. No one's doing that. No one's blaming John. There's more people blaming rap music than John Morant himself. Because you had a few people who were saying the music he's listening to is influencing him more than him himself is responsible.
Hmm.
So no one with a credible voice is doing that. So I have not seen anything necessarily unreasonable when it comes to critiquing him with respect to this situation. So because of that, I think he's blowing smoke, and I think that he is reading too much into his media scrutiny, which in my opinion is earned. Like, you did this to yourself, bro. But this comes from this microwave generation that we are currently in.
Hmm.
And I spoke about this a while back when we talked about Sha'Carri Richardson. Sha'Carri Richardson got mad because the media was talking about her. Like, she went, before it was you remember when we talked about that a while back? It was
Hmm.
before a race. She went off on the media saying y'all need to respect athletes and respect us. We're human beings, and don't talk bad about our characters and blah 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 blah. She just went off. And you and I scoured the internet looking for negative comments about her in the media, anywhere that's credible. We didn't find any. So who is she mad at? Who does she think is who does she think is doing this to her? But these people who grow up in these microwaves of realities, and they only know their feeds and their handlers and their social media networks and all their followers and their commenters and their likes, you know, they live in echo chambers. They live in echo chambers, and they cannot handle legitimate critiques. They can't handle it. Any legit critique levied against them, they view as an attack against them. They feel as though they're under siege.
Right.
So I would imagine that right now John Morant feels like he's under siege, merely because ESPN and Fox and Barstool and the rest of these media outlets are talking about him. And they're not talking about his numbers or his MVP candidacy, or he's one of the best players in the league, or one of the best play or the best player on the Grizzlies, and blah 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 blah. So if it deters from that in any kind of way, it's an affront towards him. He views it as an attack. Now he's under siege. So I got to be real, bro. Like, I feel like he's blowing smoke. I do. I feel like he's blowing smoke. Now, granted, the media does what the media does. You can't escape it. They are the lamestream media for a reason. And when you do things like what you did, you give them content in the off season. You're gifting them. There's nothing that ESPN loves more than to be able to talk about the NBA credibly during the offseason. When otherwise there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, outside of the draft and free agency, there's nothing to talk about with the NBA during the offseason. So John Morant getting suspended 25 games for waving a gun on social media, whether it's a prop or not, it's another damn story.
Yep.
The media does what it does. It's a living, breathing entity. So it's like, bro, no one is assaulting you. This is not happening. Don't let them people around you gas you up and have you believing there's an agenda against you. If anything, it's the opposite. Corporatocracy, as you like to characterize it, is in bed with the idea that they want to get into bed, no pun intended, with these black pro athletes because they're the beacons for social justice in America. So they want to see Ja Morant win because it helps their cause. So I don't see anyone credible in the media doing this. This is just a result of these younger people, man. They have no concept for for uh, for constructive criticism. Everything is an attack. They live in echo chambers, and when you live in an echo chamber, any dissenting opinion towards you feels like an attack. And so he merely feels like he's under attack because his entire life he's been told how excellent he is. Well, bro, you're human. You ain't excellent all the time. So just get used to it.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that platforms like ESPN, like I said earlier, that whole crap that he might be dead in like 5 years. It's like, man, where y'all coming up with that from? Ain't nobody taking it that far.
Yeah.
And the like you said, the sensible people basically was like, hey, bro, we get it. You young, you got money, you got any woman you want, you doing your thing, bro. Ball out. And we've all done ignorant thing, the whole path. People gave him a break, now starting to go down the rabbit hole of well, why he feel like he need to carry that. Is it because he in
Right.
Memphis? Is he around with the
Yeah.
goons? It's
Yeah.
like, where's all of that coming from? So Ja being at home, just being a kid, you know, uh, a bit of a knucklehead, and years later he'll look back and go, yeah, those were my knucklehead years. So, at this time being just a knucklehead and listen to music, that raw music that get him hyped up, that's just the mode he in.
Mm-hmm.
And and again, the day of social media where these kids grew up on this, man, I'm gonna document this. I'm gonna let everybody see, man. Look at all of these impressions I'm getting every time I go live. Yeah. So he's just living, man. So um so all that extra stuff, when you're starting to read into things and putting stuff on him now, and those are just the ones I've heard about. And so, but first of all, you ain't supposed to be looking at this stuff anyway. If you're an athlete or entertainer or whatever, only look up the stuff that boosts your ego. Don't look at all the crazy stuff that is,
Yeah.
and because that stuff will drive you mad. But this is such a wild thing where everybody has to dunk on him, even the people that want to tell him to do the right thing. So there's criticism coming from everywhere, but then there's these people that are making these inflammatory, statements. And
Yeah.
so, but again, when you're dealing with the media, there's no honor in there. They're gonna do whatever
No.
the hell they want.
Right.
So they're gonna remix the truth whether you like it or not. And because this week they told you one thing, oh, something changed, new development, whatever. Y'all just want to keep running with the story. And so I saw the NBA not trying to suspend him there, especially since it's only 25 games. Them saying that we're gonna wait for after the finals. I didn't see that as them trying to respect the finals. They can say that crap. That was just another media run for the NBA.
Build more anticipation. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because after the season, it's like boom, and then the draft. Man, y'all getting loaded. Y'all getting all kinds of spins and plays and mentions and talks. And so they wanted it for that reason too. So I look at this. I look at all of this stuff as, again, if I was in Ja's camp, especially how they move and how they be acting, I would 100%. If I was in that camp, I would be 100% thinking that they trying to mess up a future bag for me. Bro, you already messed it up, But they're trying to mess it. No, that's how you mess it up.
Yeah.
Because they're going to run with it. So you can't be mad at what they do with it afterwards. You already put it on live. And that's what happens when you put it on live. So it's not a thing where there's the agenda is they'll do that to anybody. This is not specific to you, Ja Morant. But because you're Ja Morant, it's just that more enticing, and it gets that many more views and clicks. So I don't want to sound like a sympathizer here for Ja Morant and his foolish acts, but because they were foolish. But I feel his pain when it comes to, come on, man, cut me some slack, bro. I'm just legit. And it's just like, yeah, we get it. But, with all of that money, bro, all them M's, and, you can call these people haters. You can call me a hater. You can say whatever you want. But all them M's, everybody can look online and know your salary. Well, then it's you either going to have groupie love. There's people in the middle. But the people in the middle don't talk, and they don't get on Twitter and start talking to you. Then you're gonna have a whole bunch of people that never lived what they, can get where you're at in their life. And they don't even have to be basketball. They never hit their top potential, and they know it. And so yeah, they go on Twitter all day, or Instagram, or whatever, TikTok, YouTube, hopping in comment sections, hating on people. So yeah, man, it sucks for him. But that's what happens, Ja. And so yes, there is an agenda to run your name through the mud. But that's the agenda of the media, period.
Right.
So hey.
Yeah. It's going to do what it's going to do. And how he feels about needing, and I know I'm not necessarily, if that is a part of his defense, cut me some slack and blah, blah, blah. Like, I hear what he's saying. Like, in the grand scheme of things, like, I'm not hurting anybody. A lot of people like to say he's not committing any crime. No one was assaulted, no one was physically hurt, any of that kind of stuff. It's just an image PR Instagram thing.
Yeah.
But it's just like, hey man, listen, what's his contract? $190 million, something like that. I have to look it up. I don't know his contract off the top of my head. But look, man, to whom much is given, much is required. It is what it is. And yes, this is not something that is unique unto him. So youth is not an excuse, because he's not the only young player in the NBA. If it was all about youth, every young player would be doing dumb shit. He just appears to have particularly bad judgment, and he ain't the first one and won't be the last.
5 years, 194.
There you go. I know it was something like that, 190 something. So it's just like, he ain't the first, he won't be the last. See Zion. And it's ironic too, because both of them were in the same draft class. It's crazy. But but it's just like, hey bro, look, this is what the media does. So you can either just take your licks or make better choices and don't put yourself in position to have you under that microscope, because they're gonna put you under the microscope. And so I guess is it an agenda? Yes, but Ja Morant saying it's a Ja Morant agenda,
right?
And we're saying, hey, bro, listen, it's not a Ja Morant agenda. This is what the media does. It's a media function. It's a functionality of the media. You're going to be talked about for weeks because you're content. Content, and just don't make yourself content, bro.
And
don't make yourself content.
And I'm not a race baiting dude or whatever, but hey, man, yeah, you young and black with money. If you want to throw that card in there, yeah, bro, that happens too. Are they running with Brett Favre stories? No. Are they running with all these other things that be going on with other people? No. They talk about it as whatever. And so even if you want to play that card, bro, that's what goes on. So you just have to be mindful of all of these things when you just out here operating. So even if you want to do that, man, the whole thing is that like you just said, bro, we're not saying that this is a targeted specifically to Ja. So yeah, the Ja agenda, there is no Ja agenda. There's the media running with hype. And yeah, man, it's good fodder. And guess what, man? We made content out of it too, man. But this is just how the organism works. And once you're looking at it from I guess his lens, because first of all, I mean, it's through everybody's timeline, all big time people talking about it, and I'm pretty sure he's on social media, so he's gonna see it, and you know, if it's not that you're lust for pain, and that it's just that it's you gonna see your name, and you gonna see what people got to say about you, and it bothers him. So I feel you, bro. But hey, man, this is gonna be more to come unless you really do a 180, bro. And I wouldn't even fake the funk. I'll just do everything that I was already gonna do. I just wouldn't put the goofy stuff on live, and I'll just fall back. And then about time he hit 26, 27, and he starts to mature up a little bit and actually want to be a pro, then I feel like a lot of that stuff will go away. But right now he's young, he smokes, he drinks, he's not being a professional. And how can you expect that? Yeah, I mean he should. There's other people who do, but hey man, I was 23, bro. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I was 23. Going to my college course hungover from the night before, literally trying to earn a degree, but partying so hard the night before that I'm hungover in class. I can't even listen to the professor. It's like Charlie Brown teacher.
I don't think that I don't think that that is.
I'm telling, but I'm just saying, in my own personal life, while I'm trying to achieve, while I'm trying to hit a goal, and I know I got better things, I know better. I'm still partying and acting a fool because I'm young. And
Yeah,
so,
but the consequences for you doing that are not the same. That's the
no,
thing.
I,
Is
I understand that,
yeah.
but I don't. I understand that, but I, there's levels to things. I don't have so much to lose, but I could have positioned myself, and who knows? What if I'm not going to class hungover?
Well, the only
I'm a
point
better
that
student. I'm a
the
better
only
student.
point, yeah, the only point that I'm trying to make is you don't know how you would have conducted yourself had you been in a similar situation at that age where you had that much to lose. I think it's easy to analogize it in that way because when you're going to school hungover, what's the penalty? A failing grade, maybe. That's not that pales in comparison to losing $80 million.
No,
So it's just it's just
I know it's paling in comparison to losing $80 million, but I don't have that. Yeah, I don't have that on the line. But I had other things on the line, like getting masters and getting PhDs. But since my work ethic wasn't professional when I was in college trying to be professional, I didn't take school seriously. And then so because I didn't take school seriously, I didn't. This is my analogy of him being young and not taking his profession seriously. And so as you get older, you start to see the value and oh man, I'm in college. This is a place of opportunity. I was wasting it. I was coming to class hungover. I wasn't coming to class prepared and ready as I know I should have been. So that was just an analogy speaking on his age, not not comparing $80 million to a passing grade in college. So I'm just
yeah.
saying that
No,
I hmm?
no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I said, yeah. So I'm just saying, I've been there too. I've been there too, and I can attest that this is due to young age. Now, will he grow up or will he be Boosie, walking around on Instagram Live with a gun in his back, on his backside? Will he never grow up, or is this just a young man thing? Who knows? I'm wishing him the best, but right now, I can't say that the media is out to get him. I think there's a lot of people out there like me that's just giving him constructive criticism. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think it differs from one individual to the next.
mhm.
I guess age might be a commonality, but it's not something. It's not a defining commonality
It's
because
not.
not everyone who is that age is going to make those types of decisions.
They're
So,
not.
is it a factor? Perhaps, but you know, it's just
It's a
I
wait and
do
see.
think that there's a lack of there's an element to carrying yourself with a lack of professionalism that is there. I don't necessarily tie that to age as much for a person in his situation because he has so much. Those individuals have to live a completely different reality where they're essentially forced to have to conduct themselves in certain scenarios that you or I will never really know what it's like unless we get there. So, either way, yeah, I don't think that it's ESPN sitting around in a boardroom saying, how are we going to get Ja today? And I don't think the NBA is doing that either. I don't think the NBA is doing that. I don't think the media is doing that. I
No.
just think that what we often do is excuse bad behavior. And it's like, well, not bad behavior, but poor decision making, not bad behavior. Um, and it's just, bro, just make better, smarter decisions. That's all. And I think that's all anyone's been saying from the jump.
No, I agree. And so, and it's a time will tell thing. And so
Yeah.
will he grow up? Will he not? And but these are clearly childish acts. So and he's still a child to me. So hopefully he grows up and hopefully he don't do Boosie and still try to do 19-year-old shit at 40 something years old. And that's how you get caught up and the media always try to tear you down. So good luck, y'all.
Yeah, I guess. I'm trying to think of what dumb stuff I did when I was 24. I can't
You
really.
didn't, bro. You were clean cut. By the way, man, when we was in school, this guy here, yes, Mr. Studious. All right. So yeah, man. So we can go down the road with that stuff, but man, I don't even know how I passed. I do, but I don't.
uh, yeah, I went wayward once I graduated. I think that's when I started.
Oh
But oh
yeah,
well, good luck, John. Ain't nobody out to get you, bro. Just make better choices. That's all.
yeah, man.
All right, last up, we're gonna talk about Kid Capri and Eminem. So Kid Capri, he's real old school DJ type. Kid Capri has to be like in his 50s by now.
Oh,
Uh,
totally. Maybe
yeah,
oh,
yeah, he's been around for a long time, and he recently came to Eminem's defense, saying that a lot of the hate that Eminem received is due to the fact that he is doing black stuff better than black people. But let me not paraphrase. Let me go ahead and read Kid Capri's words from the man himself. So this is interesting. We actually talked about Eminem. Was it last week or the week before? When Tony Yayo was talking about how people who associated with Eminem back in his heyday were looked at as sellouts because they were collaborating and being too close in association with a white rapper. So this article says Eminem hated for doing, quote, black stuff better, says Kid Capri. Kid Capri is well known for his outspoken nature. The New York hailing DJ slash rapper made an appearance recently on Odyssey's Hip Hop Made with host Mike Street. During the interview, he discussed his favorite rappers and how people determine their top 5 MCs. Kid Capri also did not hold back when he expressed his thoughts on those who hold a disdain for Eminem. He suggested that they are envious because Eminem excels at black stuff better than they do. During the conversation, Kid Capri shared his belief that people undermine Eminem's skills because of his race. Furthermore, he asserts that Eminem is a superior rapper compared to those who throw shade at him. He argued that people often focus on an artist's popularity rather than their genuine talent. Quote, everybody keep going at Eminem because he's white. You're mad because he's doing black stuff better than you are. End quote, Kid Capri said. Quote, the boy is nice. You can't take that from him. End quote. You can listen to the entire interview below. So, of course, we might get hit with copyright if we play this audio. So we won't. This goes on to say it's worth noting that this isn't the first time Kid Capri defended Eminem. In a 2022 interview with Hip Hop DX, he did the same. He mentioned that Lil Pump's diss towards Eminem inspired his latest album, The Love. Kid Capri expressed frustration with younger artists disrespecting older ones and emphasized the contributions made by veteran artists to the hip hop industry. Quote, that was just one of the things that did inspire me, end quote, he said in that interview. Quote, I got tired of seeing the younger dudes thinking that the older people ain't capable. Like we ain't been here building this business from the ground up from day one, end quote. So Kid Capri says Eminem's hate stems from people being jealous of the fact that he does black stuff, in this case, rap music or rapping, better than black people. Uh, do you give that any credence whatsoever?
Um, I think because I listened to a good part of that interview, and I think the context was towards like other rappers, and so and I think he was more or less getting at people like yeah, y'all be talking all this stuff about him because y'all not better than him.
Mm-hmm.
And Eminem is better than a lot of rappers. I'll give y'all that, at least for the stuff reasons why I explained previously. I do think that he is better than a lot of rappers, and that's okay. But I do think he's also overrated. So, it's kind of like the LeBron thing. Yeah, the guy's amazing, but he's also overrated. So,
Uh-oh.
yeah. So it's pretty much the same thing. So so listening to him talk, because he also gave Twister some love, as I did when we were talking about Eminem earlier,
Right.
and
Yeah.
because you know there are guys out there that are good that don't get mentioned. And I think that's the grief that people like me have about, okay, yeah, Eminem's great, but let's talk about other guys that have his similar rapping style and can go too, you know. And I'm not really into Tech Nine like that, but Tech Nine goes hard. And there's songs where he go, and my mind is blown away. Some of his random dudes that be in his clique be going hard. If you like that double time rapping like Eminem do, them guys is just as cold as he is, but they don't get as much love. So, but Eminem was marketable, and he did that. And even if you want to talk about working hard and longevity, the people in Tech Nine crew, they been making music for decades. Every year they're dropping albums. So you can't say that they don't work hard at it, at their craft. So, but they're not marketable. But Eminem was good work ethic, marketable, talented, skilled, white, overhyped. I'm sorry, it's just part of the equation. I just did the math for y'all, and that's how it happens. And you add all of that stuff up, and then you take off white, then you get Tech Nine in this crew. Even though some white guys in there or something, but still, nevertheless. So yes, Kid Capri does have a point. There are guys out there that Eminem is just flat out better than, and sometimes when they be talking, they ain't talking like me. It just be sounding like hate. You know, because it be sounding like they think that they're better than him sometimes, and it's like, bro, you're not. You know, you can say that he's overrated, but you're not better than him. There's some of that stuff going on. So when Kid Capri addresses it in that nature, I'm all for it. But just as in general, that yeah, bro, because he top 5, whether you like it or not. So every other rapper up under that, you just mad that a white boy doing something. No, I'm not going down that path, sir. Now, if you're going down that path, Mr. Capri, I'm not following you. So how about you, sir? How do you feel about this one? Do you think it's either A or B, door number 1 or door number 2?
You hit the nail on the head with that last part, and you also brought up LeBron. Look, yeah, I feel the exact same way. See, people's quote, and I'm gonna use the word hate, even though I'm not saying all of it is hate, because some of it is legit critiques, like what you just said. Very
Mm-hmm.
well said, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think Kid Capri is talking to, when Kid Capri refers to hate towards Eminem because he's white and he's doing black stuff better. I think he's responding to people who say he's overrated in a vacuum without providing context. That's what I think he's responding to. He's responding to fans and elements in the media who would suggest that without context, Eminem is just flat out overrated. Like, you have to provide context for your statements.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why I'm often considered a LeBron detractor is because, I don't believe that LeBron people refuse to allow you to believe that he is not at the worst the second greatest player of all time. Like, they refuse to let you think anything otherwise. Like, they're
That's
so obnoxious. They're so obnoxious. Like, these LeBron acolytes, especially the ones in the media, Nick Wright, Shannon Sharp, they're so obnoxious with their LeBron fervor. Anything, like, if I get on there and I say, okay, I think LeBron is like in the top 10, I don't think he's 1 or 2. There, like, you shot the president.
right.
And it's like, bro, I just don't think he's better than Jordan. I don't think he's better than Kobe. I give him top 10. I'm not going top one or two. Like, another example of this, there was one time I was on Instagram, and there was one person who commented on Jay-Z, and he said Jay-Z is the most overrated rapper ever, and he gave reasons why he felt like Jay-Z was the most overrated rapper ever. And I responded in one of the few instances in my life in which I actually responded to a comment on social media. And my response to this person was, overrated in what context? What do you mean he's overrated? Because if you mean period, he's just overrated as in he's not that good, you're a crazy person.
Yeah, I agree
But
with
if you
that.
mean overrated from the standpoint that he is often mentioned as one of, if not the greatest ever, and you think that's an overrating, and you think that that's overrating what he is because he's not the greatest ever or top two or five or whatever, then fine, I can accept that. But people just make these blanket statements and they provide no context, and
Mhm.
you're left to figure out what the hell they meant.
Mhm.
And I think that's what Kid Capri responds to is people who come at Eminem saying that he sucks or he's not that good or that he's overrated and provide no context. And
Mhm.
there's a lot of people who do that. Like, I, like you, don't think Eminem is top five. And I hate the list thing
Yeah, me
because
too.
it's arbitrary.
Right.
But I'm not somebody who thinks that Eminem is just, oh my God, he's just the best ever, one of the greatest ever, blah, blah, blah.
No.
I give him the credit for the run that he had when he was in his prime.
Mhm.
He's one of the greats. I'll say he's earned the right to be called one of the greatest. But when you're talking about the pantheon of the greatest of all time, in my opinion, he's not that high. So within that context, I'm going to challenge anyone who would put Eminem that high. But for people who just want to, in a vacuum, say he's just not that good or he's overrated because he really sucks, that's who I think Kid Capri is talking to. And I think that his personal bias with the race thing is where he'll infuse race into the conversation when he says that people are mad at him because he's doing this and he's white and he's doing white black stuff better than white. Like, to me, this is just about the culture around the music and the way that we rate the music and the artists. I don't know that there's necessarily a racial element to it. Although I would say when it comes to Eminem being white, the aura around him as a white artist and the perception that there's an overration taking place could be due to the fact that he basically, as a white rapper, gave the white audience a reason to like rap even more. Like, they are still the majority of the population.
Right.
So before hip hop became a major genre the way it is now, it was still a subgenre, mostly consumed by black and brown people. Eminem ushered in a generation of white suburban kids who started paying more attention to it because he's white. Surprise.
Mhm.
He's white. That's what's going to happen.
Right.
So anybody who says Eminem was as successful, well, yes, he's as successful as he is, popularity monetarily because of his whiteness, but that doesn't take away from his ability. Is the point
Right.
that I'm trying to make.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
so I
Right.
think a lot of people who would criticize, a lot of people who would go so far as to say Eminem is overrated because he's a white rapper, again, providing no context, just saying he's a white rapper, those are the people who Kid Capri is going after. The overzealous people who make claims with no context.
Right.
So that's kind of where I feel like he's coming from. And to that end, he does have a point because I also find it annoying when people make these statements with no context. Don't throw LeBron as the greatest player ever in my face. I have nuance to combat that. So if you're going to say he's the greatest player ever to me, I'm going to say you're lying. And that doesn't make me a crazy person or a hater. That just says, hey, without context, you're just saying crazy stuff in my face and I don't agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I kind of feel like that's what it boils down to is just the context or lack thereof. He does have a point with the whole race angle, but it depends on what people are saying. If people want to call into question his popularity, if people want to call into question how good he is on the grounds of him being white without providing context, then yeah, I would say that Kid Capri does have a point. And people do that. But for people like myself, and I think even people like you who want to challenge Eminem's place in the pantheon of great rappers all time, we just challenge that idea when people want to try and suggest that he's like the best ever or the greatest ever or one of the greatest ever. I think that's all sensible people are trying to say.
Yeah, and I agree with you, man. This whole because I remember when they first started coming out with lists, it never really made sense to me. Now even in sports, in certain things, it don't make sense.
They don't make sense. They don't.
And so, but when we're looking at art, I mean, how can you put anybody number one at art?
It's so subjective. It's all subjective. It
Yeah,
is.
and it's the most subjective thing. That's what art is. It's subjection. And so now there's some music that's just trash. Sorry, bro. Your music is garbage, bro. There's some music that's just trash universally. You know, but then there's stuff where I mean, there's rappers that go on tour all the time, you know, and they make their little projects. They ain't making big time money, but they've been around for the last 20 years, 15 years. You listen to their music and you go, ah, because the ear is trained to listen to commercial rap. So you're used to a certain type of flow and cadence. So you're listening for uh it's like food. It's like food. It's salty, sweet, crunchy,
Yeah.
salty, sweet, crunchy. And then it's like, all right, bro, there's also vegetables. Vegetables? Shit out of here. Salty, sweet, crunchy. And then so they hear Drake, salty, hella sweet. And double crunchy. I love it. Drake is one of the best rappers in the game. And then so people have to be mindful that how their palate was conditioned. So when I go through my because I dig through crates in these playlists on these apps, and I find a song from an artist that I like that feature, and then I'll
Mm-hmm.
go down their rabbit hole and listen to what their fans listen to.
Yeah.
And yeah, this guy's got a whole album, but on this song he snapped. And then from that song that he snapped, you can hear his DNA. And then you hear the next song go, oh, this is this guy's style. It's not salty, sweet, crunchy. It's its own algorithm, but it works. And all of their fans love it, will go to the show if they come to they town. Are they selling out arenas? No, it's just some small hole in the wall
Mm-hmm.
club, but it's still
Mm-hmm.
packed out from people that know word for word. Those people love that guy. And if they had a top 10, he's in it. So how can you sit there and go the best ever and then try to make everybody in this uniform thing go Biggie, Pac, and all this? I'm tired of picking them too. I'm sorry. Sorry. Pac has an argument in my book, but still, even then, there's still some stuff in there where it's like, hey, bro, and I'm
Yeah.
allowed to have that. But if I go,
Yes,
sorry,
you are.
but the conditioning is so deep that if I said that on a panel at the Black Caucus,
Oh boy, you get roasted. Oh, you getting roasted.
it was like, excuse me, sir. They'll try to revoke my card. Like I told them I ain't watched Paid in Full, which I didn't. You never, whoa. You never saw Paid in Full, bro? No. So, come at me. And so my whole thing is that, yeah, that whole conditioning, man. And so, yeah, so the whole list thing, it don't make sense to me. So I have my better and then worse. So when it come to me and I got Eminem, I'm a have my conversation with it. But everybody's having this elementary cookie cutter conversation where he had to be in a top 5 or top 10 or maybe even number 1. And
Yeah.
I'm like, who told you to think like that in the first place? These Billboard, MTV, who told you this? And I think honestly, we started hearing this goat stuff and all this crap in like beginning of like or in around high school time, you know. So that's like early 2000s. And that's when I started hearing about hip hop lists. I wasn't hearing that crap before. So yeah, I'm not a fan of that crap either. I think that everybody should be, a fan of whoever they love. Currency's my favorite rapper. All right. And so everybody can have their favorites and whatever. And yeah, I think a tier thing is better. You can have your tier, your personal tiers, but it's not
Yeah,
everybody's tiers. So
yeah,
yeah, man.
yeah. People just get carried away. Yeah. I just think that above all else,
Hmm.
when it comes to these types of conversations where it's like this guy's this and this person's that,
Hmm.
the thing that people do that makes this contentious, where all of a sudden you're getting people mad at your opinion as if
Hmm.
an opinion is supposed to be right or wrong, like it's due to the fact that people express views that are devoid of context.
Yeah.
So that don't tell me Jay-Z's overrated. In what do you mean? In what context is Jay-Z overrated? Explain what your statement means. Because I have no context for what you say. Overrated how? That he isn't one of the greatest ever, that he's actually not good. What do you mean by that? And far too often people just make blanket statements. And so I think for Kid Capri, when he defends someone in Eminem's position, he's defending that type of behavior where people just want to spout off at the hip saying that Eminem is trash.
All right.
Like, okay, trash how? Trash in what? Because if Eminem is trash, what is Lil Pump? You know what I'm saying? Like, if Eminem is trash, what is Takashi 69?
Oh.
Like, what are actual trash rappers if Eminem is trash? And again, I'm not an Eminem apologist, and I hold Eminem in high regard for that 3 album run, his first 3 albums. I thought that he was all time great for that stretch of time. After that is we can have a conversation about that. But after I'm not an Eminem apologist per se, but I'm also not gonna sit up here and entertain this anyone's opinion that he's just trash. In like, what do you mean by that? Explain that. And that's what lazy people do, or people who engage in lazy logic. And we do it with music, we do it with sports, we do it with movies, because obviously there's not enough time to have a nuanced conversation. I got to keep typing on my phone. I got to get back to my feed. I spent 5 minutes away from my TikTok. I can't have a nuanced conversation with you where I have to use words and diction. I got to get back to my device.
Hmm.
People's attention spans are so jacked up nowadays that
Yeah.
it's impossible for people to have nuanced conversations. And somebody like Kid Capri, who was born before the internet existed, probably was used to having nuanced conversations. And so it probably frustrates him when people come at Eminem on some claims that are devoid of nuance.
Hmm.
And then he'll throw in the race part because he's probably encountered that being used as a mark against Eminem's leisure. Oh, he's just as, you know, he's only perceived to be as good as he is because he's white. So Kid Capri's probably heard that before. I've heard it before. And he's probably lumping that in with his contention towards people who want to come at Eminem on a critique basis through lack of context. So, we do it all the time. It's very lazy. I love Michael Jordan, but people even do it with Jordan. People who love Jordan just say he went 6 for 6 in the finals. He's the greatest ever. That's lazy shit. People do it with LeBron. Oh, he went to the finals 10 straight times. He averaged 28, 8, and 8. He's the greatest ever. Lazy as hell. We do it with everybody like that. We are lazy when it comes to talking about art. We're lazy. And we don't want to have context. We just want to criticize other people's opinions because they're different than our own.
Hmm.
And so, I kind of feel him in that regard. Not necessarily the biggest Eminem fan in the world, but I will also say I think Kid Capri has a point. People just need to not be so lazy when it comes to how they talk about some of these artists in these various arenas. Even with Hollywood and the acting and the movies and all that kind of stuff, this stuff is far too subjective for there to be any definitive opinion about any of this shit.
All
So,
right.
like, what are we doing here? It's ridiculous, but people do it. People do it. And if you are addicted to your feed and you allow yourself to become triggered by opinions that you don't agree with, you'll go down a rabbit hole and then you get frustrated because people think this movie, which you think sucks, is better than
Right.
the movie that you like. And people do this kind of stuff. And so
Yeah.
it is what it is. But Eminem, he deserves his rightful place as a great rapper. I'll go that far. And if anything beyond that, we can get into the weeds with nuance about fitting him here or there, this, that, or the third. But in a vacuum, to say that the guy is not good because he's white or for any other reason to just kind of say he's not good, I think that's disingenuous, and I think that that's what Kid Capri's talking about.
Yeah, and me and Kid Capri could have a debate. Uh, Me and him could have a debate. I can articulate why I think he's trash. I can do it. He may not like my angle, but yeah, I can go down that path. He ain't gonna like it, and then there's gonna be a lot of other people on his top whatever list that I'm gonna call trash. He ain't gonna like that
Yeah,
either. And so it don't just it ain't just with Eminem. It's probably a whole bunch of people on everybody list right now, you know, and not young people. I'm talking about people from our cohort. People
yeah,
people got some, but people didn't listen to music right. I don't know what they was listening to. And sometimes, bro, when I stumble on an old thing, bro, and I look, damn, this shit came out in '97, and I'm just now hearing this, but
hmm,
it's got a whole bunch of listens. People have been listening to this, and I'm late to the party, but these are bars,
yeah,
and so there's so much music out there, man, that you got to expand your variety to really know what your palate really enjoys. Because if you just go what you've been fed, then yeah, of course you're gonna think that he's the best or this is the best song. Because one thing I can't stand is when I listen to somebody's playlist and it's like listening to the radio, and I say, well, I thought this was your playlist. It's like, no, this is my playlist. I'm like, bro, I thought I was listening to 99 Jams. You know, Hot
yeah,
105 with the girls. I'm sitting there listening
yeah.
to the smooth jazz. Uh,
Hmm.
so it's like, hey man, what's going on here? So I like people who have eclectic playlists. People that are like, damn, who the hell is that? Or damn,
Yeah,
I know this, I know, bruh, but what song is this? And it's yeah, this person likes music, and it's subjective because everybody's playlist is different. So, but
yeah,
yeah, Kid Capri, what I'm saying? Holla at me, dog. You know what I'm saying? Bruh, Kid Capri looked like he was 38 in 1992, whatever he was on. Was that Living Color? He looked 38 back there. My bad, Kid Capri. I ain't trying to clown you, bro, but it's like, damn. That's why you say he's 50.
bro,
I'm like,
bro,
damn, he's
yeah,
probably 60,
bro.
bro.
Kid Capri's like Danny Glover. He looked like he was 50 when he was 30.
Right.
These people like Danny Glover, Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman looked like he was in his 40s when he was like 30 years old. Like,
Yeah.
oh, they
Yes.
just looked old right out the box. They just looked old.
Yeah, man. So, hey, bro, my bad, bro. I ain't trying to clown you, bro. But if you look 38 in 1992 and you look 38 in 2023, bro, you ain't age a bit. So,
Yeah, I
how
say
about
he
that?
winning. Yeah, I say he winning if that's the case. He winning. Yeah, people aren't nearly as diversified in their consumption of art as they think.
Mm,
And I've run into that as well. I've seen people who just listen to trap, but then want to give me their top five all time. How can you possibly have a well-rounded enough observation of music
right,
to really be in position to give a top list at
right.
all? You listen to one type of music. You don't listen to a diverse array. You don't listen to enough music to be taken seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I'm not even putting myself on that pedestal. That's why I don't engage in doing that. I don't have those conversations with people.
Mm-hmm.
At the very most, I'll say here is who I like. But I don't get into this guy is the greatest ever and this guy was better than this. I don't get into that because quite frankly, I have not listened to enough to really have an informed opinion on that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I ain't listened to, I'm gonna come with my list, and it's gonna be artists from like 1996 on. And
Mhm.
it's gonna be older people who are gonna be like, you ain't got Big Daddy Kane in there, Rakim, Tribe Called Quest,
Exactly.
De La Soul, all of these people. And it's like, well, I didn't listen to that. So I don't even get into the list because it's stupid. You we very few people have a well-rounded enough opinion or exposure to this stuff to really talk like this. They don't.
Agreed. Agreed.
And that's with everything, music, sports, all of that. I didn't watch George Mikan play. I don't know how real those guys are. I'm not finna chart my 10 greatest NBA players of all time. I didn't watch Wilt Chamberlain. I didn't. Bill Russell. I just know Bill Russell has 11 championships. That sounds good, but I didn't watch that. So
Right.
I can't. My frame of reference is 1986 on. That's my frame of reference. So people do that kind of stuff. But I think what annoys people like me, and I think what annoys people like Kid Capri, is when those people with lack of reference are so firm in their opinion as if to suggest that they know what they're talking about. And that's when it gets annoying. It's like, bro, you ain't listened to enough. How do you know? How do you know this? What do you mean? So, but I feel you though. I'm not gonna say I don't think Eminem's trash, but I also think that he, musically speaking, is overrated. People really do try to put him up there, top five and all of this kind of stuff, and I think that that's silly. But I don't think he's trash though. But either way, shouts out to Eminem. Shouts out to Kid Capri. I hear where you're coming from, man. I hear where you're coming from. People need to be more nuanced when it comes to these conversations. They need to provide context and stop being lazy.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All right, but that'll do it for tonight's stream, man. Another good stream in the books. Conscious Approach. We appreciate everybody for watching our videos. Appreciate everybody who tuned in to the stream. Appreciate everybody who will engage with this content well after this stream has concluded. Once again, my name is JV Wins. That is Dogon SS. You can follow Conscious Approach on Instagram at Conapproach, CONAPPROACH. We also have a presence on Facebook, Meta, whatever you want to call it. Search Conscious Approach. The videos are up there as well. Check out the website, consciousapproach.com. Check me out on Instagram at JVWins, JVWINS. Be on the lookout for Conscious Approach wherever you get your podcast fix, because we will maintain a presence for that as well. Be more balanced with your opinions, people. That's what I'll say to sign off. Have nuance and context with your arguments, because otherwise you look like somebody who ought not to be listened to. So,
You. And the name is Dogon SS, not doggone. All right. It's Dogon SS. And you can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS, on YouTube at Dogon SS, and Hurricane Dogon on YouTube as well. And as I say on every part, guys, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it player, and don't let anybody get you off your pivot. So until the next time, guys, we'll catch you guys on the flip side.
yes, sir. Hit that subscribe button, man. Hit that like button. Leave a comment, man. Follow the channel. Follow the channel. We do this each and every week. Go Heat. I hope the Heat get Damian Lillard. It's unlikely, but man, oh man, do I hope that happens. That would
Get
be
that dang time.
yeah.
Get that
Oh,
dang
that'll,
time.
that'll, that'll be fantastic, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, until next time, me, my T-ball, Bat, Dogon SS, we signing off. We'll catch you on the next video. Peace.
Peace. Skirt, skirt. Go Canes. Go Heat. Go Lillard. Dang time.